The lightning over Hogwarts was the wrong color. It was not blue-white, like normal storms. It was a sharp, cold violet that made the stone walls look old in a bad way, like they had been soaked in moonlight for 1,000 years. Harry Potter was not supposed to be outside. He was supposed to be in bed, under a warm blanket, pretending he had no problems in the world. But Hogwarts did not care what you were supposed to do. He was halfway down a corridor when he heard it. Not thunder. Something else. A deep grinding sound, like a giant lock turning. He slowed. His hand went to his wand without thinking. Ron and Hermione were behind him. They had been arguing in whispers about curfew and rules, and how Harry somehow always got them into trouble even when he did not try. Now all three of them stopped. The castle lights flickered once. The portraits on the walls went quiet. Even the suits of armor felt still. Then the sound came again. A heavy thump, far away, followed by a rolling scrape, like something had fallen from the sky and dragged itself across the ground. Hermione swallowed. "That's not—" "I know," Harry said. "Come on." They slipped through a side door and hurried down a staircase that moved under their feet. It carried them to the entrance hall, like it had decided for them. By the time they reached the front doors, the storm had grown louder. Wind pressed against the glass. Rain struck hard, like thrown stones. They pushed the doors open together. Cold air slapped Harry's face. Out on the edge of the Quidditch pitch, a shape sat in the wet grass. It was a box. A blue box. It looked like a small shed, with a little sign near the top. It had windows. It had a door. It looked simple. It looked wrong. "Is that a muggle thing?" Ron asked, voice thin. Hermione squinted, rain in her eyes. "It looks like a telephone box, but why would that be here?" Harry stepped forward. Another flash of violet lit the pitch. For a split second, Harry saw the blue box more clearly. It was scuffed. Old paint. Dense like it had been in fights. Like it had survived things that would crush a train. Then the box made that grinding sound again. The door opened. Warm yellow light spilled out. Harry froze, because the light did not make sense. It looked deeper than the box should allow. Like the inside was a hallway, not a tiny space. A man stepped out. He was tall and thin. His hair was messy, like it refused to obey him. His coat was long and dark, and it looked like it had seen too many nights like this. He held a strange tool in his hand, like a metal wand, and his eyes moved fast, taking in everything. He took one breath, then another, like he was checking the air. Then he smiled. It was bright and tired at the same time. "Hello," he called, like they were neighbors meeting over a fence. "Right. Okay, that's a castle." Ron's mouth fell open. "Who are you?" The man looked at Ron like Ron had asked him what the sky was. "I'm the doctor," he said. "And this," he patted the blue box with a kind of affection, "is the TARDIS." Hermione stepped closer despite herself. "That's impossible. It's bigger inside." "Yes," the doctor said, delighted, like she had complimented him. "You noticed? Good. That's good. Very good." He pointed his metal tool at the ground. It made a soft whine. Harry watched the doctor's face change. Just for a moment, the smile slipped. "What is it?" Harry asked. The doctor's eyes went to Hogwarts, to the towers, to the windows, to the dark shapes of stone and sky. "I need to check something," the doctor said softly. He walked past them like he already belonged here, heading toward the stone path that led to the courtyard. Harry followed. Ron and Hermione followed too, because when Harry moved, they moved. They reached the courtyard. Statues stood along the walls, old witches and wizards in stone, posed like they were watching the school. The doctor stopped in front of one statue, a robed figure with hands folded like it was praying. He stared at it. Then he blinked. Harry blinked too. The statue had moved. Not a lot. Just enough that Harry knew he was not imagining it. The head angle was different. The shadow fell in a new place. Ron made a small sound in his throat. "Did you see?" "Yes," the doctor whispered. His fingers tightened around the metal tool. He took a slow step back, eyes wide now, not with wonder, but with recognition. "Oh no," he said. "Not here. Not in a school." Behind them, a sharp voice cut through the rain. "Potter!" Professor McGonagall strode into the courtyard, robe snapping in the wind. Her wand was already raised. Professor Snape was with her, dark and silent, wand ready, eyes like knives. McGonagall took one look at the doctor and the strange blue box, and Harry standing there soaked, and her mouth became a thin line. "You will explain," she said. "Right now." The doctor looked at the wands pointed at him. Then he looked at Harry. He lifted both hands slowly, palms out, calm. "Of course," he said. "Absolutely. Brilliant. I'd love to." But first, his eyes flicked back to the statue. "Has anyone told you," the doctor asked carefully, "that your statues sometimes blink?" Dumbledore's office smelled like old books and warm tea. Harry had been in trouble here before. He knew the feeling of it, the quiet, the portraits watching, the phoenix on its perch, calm and bright. But tonight felt different. Tonight, Harry felt like the castle itself was holding its breath. The doctor stood in the middle of the room, hands behind his back, turning in a slow circle as he looked at everything. His eyes stopped on the sorting hat. "Oh," he said, softly amazed. "That's brilliant." McGonagall did not look amused. She stood near the desk, arms stiff, wand still in hand even though Dumbledore was here. Snape leaned near the shadows, as if the shadows belonged to him. Dumbledore sat behind his desk, calm as always, fingers steepled. His eyes watched the doctor with a steady patience. Harry, Ron, and Hermione stood near the door. Harry could feel Hermione buzzing with questions, like a kettle that would not stop boiling. The doctor finally faced Dumbledore. "Right, okay. Hello, I'm the doctor." Snape's lip curled slightly. "A title, not a name." "It's a name," the doctor said at once. Then, gentler. "It's the name I use." Dumbledore's voice was warm. "You arrived in unusual fashion." "Yes," the doctor said, and he looked suddenly serious. "Not my best landing. But I didn't choose the destination. Something pulled." "Pulled you through our wards?" McGonagall asked sharply. "That should not be possible." The doctor tilted his head. "You have wards. Big ones. Clever ones. Like a web. I felt them when I arrived. But the thing that pulled me, it didn't care." Harry's stomach tightened. Dumbledore's gaze sharpened a little. "What thing?" The doctor hesitated. Not because he did not know, because he did not want to say it. "There are predators," he said, carefully choosing each word. "Some live in the dark places between seconds. Some feed on fear. Some feed on time itself." Ron swallowed loudly. Hermione whispered almost to herself, "Time itself." Snape's eyes narrowed. "You speak like time is a place." "It is," the doctor said simply. Then he glanced at Hermione, as if he had heard her whisper. "And it's also rules, and those rules matter." McGonagall's voice was cold. "You will explain what you did in our courtyard. You stared at a statue as if it threatened you." The doctor's face tightened again. "Because it does." Silence fell hard. Dumbledore did not raise his voice. "We are listening." The doctor took a breath. That statue moved when no one was watching. That's not normal. It is Hogwarts, Ron muttered, and earned himself a look from McGonagall. The doctor's eyes flicked to Ron. Yes, I noticed. Very alive place, this. But this was different. Snape's wand tip lifted a fraction. You imply an enemy. The doctor nodded once. I do. Hermione's hand shot up before she could stop herself. How is that box bigger inside? McGonagall looked like she might explode, but Dumbledore's mouth twitched, like he was holding back a smile. The doctor brightened for half a second. Oh, great question. It's… Snape cut in. No. The doctor blinked at Snape, offended. It's not even dangerous. It's just, it isn't your place, Snape said. Voice like ice. To distract. The doctor stared at him. Then he sighed. Fine. Spoil sport. He turned back to Dumbledore. The box is my ship, the TARDIS. Time and relative dimension in space. Harry stared at the doctor. You can travel through time? Dumbledore's eyes did not widen, but Harry saw something in him shift, like a chess player noticing a new piece on the board. The doctor's face went quiet again. Yes. McGonagall looked horrified. That is complicated, the doctor finished for her, and not a toy. I don't go around changing things for fun. Snape's voice was soft and deadly. And yet you arrived here. Because something is wrong, the doctor said. I felt a tear, a leak, like time is dripping into this place. Hermione stepped forward, unable to help herself. A leak caused by what? The doctor looked at her. He seemed to weigh her. Then he said, could be many things. Could be someone poking at things they don't understand. Could be something old waking up. Could be a door that should be shut. Dumbledore's fingers tapped once on the desk. You speak as if you have seen this before. The doctor's eyes went distant. I have. McGonagall finally lowered her wand, just a little. If you were telling the truth, then you are in danger as well. The doctor's smile returned, small and tired. Story of my life. Dumbledore stood. When he moved, the air in the room felt heavier, like the room leaned toward him. I would like to see your TARDIS, Dumbledore said. The doctor blinked. That's not usually asked so politely. Snape's eyes sharpened. We will not allow an unknown device to remain on our grounds without inspection. The doctor frowned. Not a device, a ship, and it doesn't like being poked. Everything likes being poked, Snape said. No, the doctor said very quietly. Some things bite. Dumbledore lifted a hand. We will be cautious. They went. The rain had eased to a cold mist by the time they reached the blue box. It sat in the courtyard, like it had always been there, despite how impossible that was. Dumbledore walked around it slowly, examining the door, the windows, the sign. It is smaller than it should be, McGonagall said, voice tight. The doctor's mouth curved. Yes. Dumbledore opened the door. Even Dumbledore paused for a heartbeat. Inside was a wide console room. Lights glowed. Panels hummed softly. The center had a strange machine like a living heart. It's bigger, Ron whispered. Hermione's eyes shone like she had found the answer to 10,000 questions, and also 10,000 more. Snape stood at the doorway and did not step in. His eyes took in every corner, every wire, every light, and Harry could almost see the calculations in his mind. The doctor noticed. You're not coming in? Snape's voice was flat. I do not step into traps. The doctor tilted his head. Smart. Harry stepped in carefully. The air felt warm, safe, like the TARDIS was a shelter from the storm. The doctor moved to the console and placed his hands on it, like he was greeting an old friend. Come on, he murmured, almost pleading. Let's go. Just a little hop. Get out of here. Find a place to fix. The machine responded with a deeper groan. The lights flickered. The whole room shuddered. Harry grabbed the edge of the console. "What's happening?" The doctor's face went sharp. He moved fast, flipping switches, scanning readouts that meant nothing to Harry. "It's trying," the doctor said, voice tight. "But something outside is snagging it." McGonagall stepped forward. "Our wards, not just wards," the doctor said. "This place has rules, and the TARDIS is catching on them." Dumbledore's voice was calm, but Harry heard the steel under it. "So you cannot leave." The doctor's jaw tightened. Then he forced a grin. "Not right now, which means—" He looked at all of them. "We have a problem together." Snape's eyes did not soften. "Or you are the problem." The doctor met Snape's stare without flinching. "Then you should watch me closely," the doctor said, "because if I'm the problem, I'm also the only one who knows what happens next." That night, Harry lay in bed but did not sleep. He kept thinking about the statue moving. He kept thinking about the doctor's face when he said, "Not here. Not in a school." And he kept thinking, if someone like Dumbledore looked surprised inside that box, what kind of world had the doctor come from? The next morning, Hogwarts tried to act normal. It failed. People whispered in corridors. Some claimed they had seen the blue box. Some said it was an Auror trap. Some said it was a new weapon Dumbledore had hidden. Harry, Ron, and Hermione met Hermione's plan at breakfast, which was really just Hermione talking fast, while Ron tried to eat and Harry tried to listen for trouble. "We need to understand him," Hermione said, stabbing her toast. "He isn't using magic, not the way we do, but it works." Ron mumbled. "It works because it's cheating." Hermione shot him a look. "It's not cheating. It's different." Harry looked up. At the staff table, Dumbledore spoke quietly with McGonagall. Snape sat slightly apart, watching everything like he was waiting for a mistake. The doctor was not there. Harry found him later, walking the corridor near a heavy wooden door that led to a storage room. The doctor lifted his metal tool and pointed it at the lock. It made a soft whine. Nothing happened. The doctor stared at the door. Then he tried again. Nothing. He sighed like the door had ruined his day. "Still wood?" Harry blinked. "What are you doing?" The doctor jumped slightly. Then he smiled. "Ah, hello." "Potter." Harry's stomach tightened. "How do you know my name?" The doctor's eyes flicked to a moving portrait that had been gossiping loudly 10 seconds ago and had gone silent now. "This place talks." Harry did not like that answer. The doctor lowered the metal tool. "I'm trying to get a feel for the castle. Doors, walls, pathways. Hogwarts is complicated." "It is," Harry said, because that was the safest thing to say. The doctor leaned closer to the door, listening like he could hear something inside the wood. "There's a rhythm here, like the building is thinking. But under it, there's a second rhythm, a wrong one." Harry's throat tightened. "The statues." The doctor's face went serious. "Yes." He stepped back. "Tell me something, Harry Potter. Do your statues move?" Harry hesitated. "Not like that." "Good," the doctor said. "Because that means I'm not imagining it." He turned, coat sweeping behind him, and started walking. Harry followed without thinking. "Where are you going?" "To see your headmaster," the doctor said, "and to ask him a question that will make everyone uncomfortable." Harry frowned. "What question?" The doctor looked back over his shoulder. "How many of your people," he asked softly, "have been poking holes in time?" Dumbledore listened without interrupting. The doctor stood near the desk again, but now he looked less like a curious traveler and more like a man doing triage in a burning house. McGonagall sat stiffly. Snape stood, of course. Hermione had been invited, which made her look like she might float. Ron looked like he had been dragged here against his will. Harry felt like he had been placed in the middle of something too big. The doctor spoke in clean beats, like he was laying out facts on a table. "There's a leak," he said. "Not huge. Yet. But it's real. Hogwarts has ancient magic," Dumbledore said. "It has secrets even I do not claim to know." The doctor nodded. "Yes, and those secrets might be turning into a doorway." McGonagall's voice was hard. "To what?" The doctor's eyes flicked to the window, where rain traced slow lines down glass. "To things that don't care about your spells." Snape's voice was low. "Name one." The doctor hesitated, then answered anyway. "Weeping angels." Hermione's eyes widened. "Angels? They're not angels," the doctor said quickly. "That's just what people call them. They look like statues. They hide. They wait." Ron gave a shaky laugh. "So what? The statues come alive and chase you?" The doctor's gaze fixed on Ron. "They move when you aren't looking. They are the fastest things you'll never see." Silence. Harry felt his skin prickle. Dumbledore's voice was calm. "And what do they do?" The doctor's mouth went tight. "They don't kill you the normal way. They touch you, and they send you back in time. They feed on the life you would have lived." Hermione made a small sound, like she had been punched. Ron's face went pale. "That's worse." "Yes," the doctor said softly. "It is." Snape's eyes narrowed further. "And you claim they are here." "I saw a statue change position," the doctor said. "And I felt the leak, and my ship can't leave." Dumbledore folded his hands. "Then we must protect our students." "Yes," the doctor said, sharp with relief. "That's the right answer." McGonagall's eyes were flinty. "How do we stop them?" The doctor took a breath. "Rule 1, don't blink. Rule 2, never be alone. Rule 3, always keep them in sight." Ron frowned. "That's impossible." The doctor looked at him. "You live in a castle that rearranges itself. Impossible is not new for you." Dumbledore stood. "We will organize patrols, pairs, professors, and prefects." Snape's mouth moved, like he wanted to argue, but he did not. The doctor added, "You have portraits. They watch." Hermione leaned forward. "The portraits can help?" "Yes," the doctor said. "If they agree, if they keep their eyes on a target, if they don't get distracted." Ron muttered. "They're always distracted." "Then we tell them it's a game," the doctor said. "Portraits love drama. Give them drama with rules." Snape's voice cut in. "And if one of these angels is cornered?" The doctor's face went very still. "Then you don't get clever. You don't try to capture it for study. You don't try to make it a weapon. You keep it locked in sight and you get people out." His eyes flicked to Snape. "And you do not touch it." Snape's eyes did not flinch. "I do not take orders from strangers." The doctor smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "Good. Then listen anyway." Dumbledore lifted a hand, ending it before it grew teeth. "We will do as you say," Dumbledore said, "for now, and we will learn what this leak is." The doctor exhaled like he had been holding his breath since he arrived. Then the castle screamed, not with sound, with feeling. A cold wave rolled through the walls. Candles dimmed. The air seemed to thicken. Hermione grabbed the desk edge. "What was that?" The doctor's head snapped up. "They're here!" Hermione's heart pounded so hard she thought it might shake her glasses off. The corridor outside the Gryffindor common room was packed with students and prefects, all trying to look brave, all failing. Harry stood near her, wand tight in his hand. Ron was on Harry's other side, breathing too fast. Professor Flitwick stood ahead, wand up, trying to keep order. And in the middle of all this fear stood the doctor, coat open, hair wild, eyes bright, like he was about to run into fire. He spoke loudly, simple and clear, like he was teaching a class. "Pairs," he said. "Nobody moves without a partner. If you see a statue where it shouldn't be, you do not touch it. You do not blink alone. You shout. You call help." A Hufflepuff boy raised a shaking hand. "What if we have to blink?" The doctor nodded like that was a fair question. "Then you take turns. One person watches while the other blinks. Swap. Stay calm. Breathe." Hermione swallowed. "How do you know so much about them?" The doctor looked at her for a moment. Then he said softly, "Because I've lost to them before." Harry's eyes flicked to him. Hermione saw it. The quick flash of pain on Harry's face. The understanding. Losing things was Harry's language. A scream echoed down the corridor. It came from below. Flitwick snapped, "Staff to the stairs!" People surged. Hermione's legs moved before her brain caught up. Harry, Ron, Hermione, and the doctor ran with Flitwick down the moving staircase. The staircase shifted under their feet, turning without warning, sending them toward a different landing. Ron shouted, "Not again!" The doctor grabbed the rail and leaned, studying the movement like it was math. "It's not random," he said, almost to himself. "It just feels like it." The stairs dumped them into a hallway, lined with suits of armor and stone gargoyles. A Ravenclaw girl stood pressed against the wall, crying, pointing down the hall. "It was there," she sobbed. "It was right there. And then it—" Hermione followed her finger. At the end of the hall stood a statue, a stone angel, its wings folded, its face hidden behind its hands, like it was weeping. Hermione felt her blood turn cold. The doctor stopped dead, arm out like a barrier in front of them. "Nobody blinks," he said, voice low but sharp. Harry stared. "That's one." "Yes," the doctor whispered. "That's one." Flitwick raised his wand. "Stupefy." A red bolt struck the statue. Nothing happened. The doctor did not even look at Flitwick. "Don't waste spells," he said. "If it's locked, it won't move. If it's not locked, you won't hit it." Ron's voice shook. "So what do we do?" The doctor took out a small mirror from inside his coat. Hermione had no idea where he got it. He held it up so it reflected the angel. "Mirrors," he said. "Reflections. Keep eyes on it from more than one angle." Hermione's mind clicked. "So it can't move because something is always watching." "Exactly," the doctor said. "Now, slowly. Back up. Do not turn your back. Do not blink at the same time." Hermione backed away with Harry and Ron, steps slow, careful, like they were carrying glass. Behind them, the air changed. Hermione felt it first. A pressure. Like someone had entered the hall behind her without sound. The doctor's eyes widened. "Don't turn," he said. Too late. Ron flinched and glanced over his shoulder. Hermione saw it in that split second. A second angel stood behind them, closer than it should be. It had been a statue. It had been nothing. Now it was there. Ron sucked in a breath like he was drowning. The doctor's hand snapped out and grabbed Ron's shoulder hard, forcing him to face forward again. "Eyes front," the doctor barked. "Harry, mirror!" Harry yanked out a small mirror from his pocket. He didn't even remember picking it up. But Hermione realized the doctor must have shoved it into his hand earlier. Harry held it up. The mirror showed the second angel, arms reaching, locked. Hermione's hands shook. "How many?" The doctor's jaw tightened. "More than one. That's the problem." Flitwick's voice was tight. "Students have vanished. 2 from Ravenclaw, 1 from Slytherin." Hermione's stomach dropped. "Vanished where?" The doctor's eyes darted to the shadows between torches, like he expected them to move. "Not vanished," he said. "Taken." Harry's voice came out rough. "We need to find them." "Yes," the doctor said, and something in his tone changed. "But not by running blind." The hallway lights flickered. Hermione's breath caught. For half a second, the torches dimmed. That half second was enough. The angels were gone. Both of them. Harry swore under his breath. Ron looked like he might throw up. The doctor's face went hard. "Okay," he said. "Okay. New plan." He pointed down the hall. "Back to the stairs. We make a safe zone. A corridor that is always watched." Flitwick frowned. "How?" The doctor's eyes moved to the portraits on the wall. Wizards and witches in frames, peeking out, whispering and watching the chaos like it was entertainment. He walked up to the nearest portrait, a stern-looking witch in a green hat. "Hello," he said brightly. "I need your help." The witch sniffed. "Who are you?" "The doctor," he said, and flashed a piece of paper like it meant everything. The witch leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "That's blank." The doctor blinked at the paper like it had betrayed him. "It's supposed to— oh, right. Magic." Hermione almost laughed, then swallowed it back because she was too scared. The doctor tucked the paper away like he would argue with it later. He leaned closer to the portrait witch. "Listen to me. There are monsters in your halls. They look like statues. They can't move if they're being watched. So I need watchers." The witch's eyes widened. "Monsters?" "Yes," the doctor said. "And you like gossip, don't you?" The portrait's mouth tightened, offended. "I do not." "You do," the doctor said cheerfully. "So here's the deal. You watch one spot. You do not look away. And I will give you the best story you've had in 100 years. The witch hesitated. Then she nodded, like she was trying not to look excited. The doctor moved down the wall, speaking to portrait after portrait. Some argued. Some laughed. Some were scared. But enough agreed. Hermione watched, amazed. He was using Hogwarts itself, not fighting it. "Harry," the doctor said, turning. "Hermione! Ron! You three can help me build the line." Hermione's mind raced. "A line? A chain of eyes," the doctor said. "Portraits watching the corridor, like a net. The angels can't move if the net holds." Harry nodded. "Do it." They moved fast. They chose a corridor that connected 2 stair landings and had portraits on both sides. They dragged benches into place, making a narrow path down the center. They set mirrors at angles, so even if one torch flickered, a reflection would still catch movement. Hermione worked like her life depended on it, because it did. She could hear footsteps and voices all around, professors calling names, students sobbing, prefects shouting. Then the doctor stopped at a stone door that led to a lower stairwell. He lifted his sonic screwdriver out of habit and pointed it. It whined. Nothing. He glared at the door. "Wood," he hissed like a curse. Hermione grabbed his sleeve. "Doctor, focus." He blinked, then nodded sharply. "Right. Yes. Sorry. Trauma response. I insult doors." Harry stared at him. "Are you joking right now?" The doctor looked at Harry, and his voice went soft. "If I don't joke, I fall apart." Harry didn't answer, but he didn't push him away either. They finished the safe corridor. For a moment it worked. Portraits watched. Mirrors reflected. Torches flared brighter under spells. Professors held the ends like guards at a gate. Flitwick sent 2 Ravenclaw prefects down the corridor, step by step, to check a side hall where screams had been heard. They made it halfway. Then one prefect blinked at the wrong time. Hermione saw it happen. Just one blink. In that blink, the angel appeared behind the prefect. A flash of stone wings. A hand reaching. Hermione screamed, "Look!" Harry swung his wand and cast a bright burst of light. So bright it made everyone's eyes water. The angel froze, half reaching, locked in the flood of light and the stare of 10 portraits. The prefect stood shaking, not even breathing. The doctor ran forward, moving like a man who had done this too many times. "Don't move," he told the prefect. "Don't breathe loud. Just stand." He turned his head slightly, eyes never leaving the angel. "Professor Flitwick, do you have anything that can hold a light steady?" Flitwick snapped. "Yes. Lumos Maxima. Steady." The torches brightened and held, like they were nailed to the air. The doctor's voice stayed calm, but Hermione heard the urgency under it. "We can't fight it," he said. "We can't kill it. We can trap it for a moment. That's all." Snape appeared at the corridor end like he had been there the whole time. His wand was raised. His eyes were locked on the angel, but his voice was aimed at the doctor. "How do we retrieve those who vanished?" The doctor did not look at Snape. "We find where the crack is," he said. "They're using it like a door." "And if we cannot," Snape pressed. The doctor's jaw tightened. "Then we keep more from being taken." Hermione felt a sick twist in her stomach. That was not the answer she wanted. A new scream echoed from below. This one was closer. The doctor's eyes flicked up, just for a fraction of a second. The angel's fingers twitched. Hermione's heart stopped. The portraits shouted at each other, panicking. A few turned their heads to gossip. The chain of eyes broke. The doctor swore under his breath. The angel vanished. A cold wind rushed through the corridor like something had run past them. Harry's voice was tight with fear and anger. "We're losing." The doctor's face went still. Then he said, "No, we're learning." He turned and sprinted. Hermione ran after him, not thinking. They reached the TARDIS courtyard door. The doctor shoved it open and rushed inside. "Doctor!" Hermione shouted. "What are you doing?" The doctor flew to the console, hands moving fast. "I said I don't change time for fun," he snapped, and his voice was sharp now, scared now. "But I can stabilize a local field, just for seconds, just enough to pull people out of a bad moment." Harry ran in behind Hermione. "You can do that?" The doctor did not answer. He was already working. The console lights pulsed. The whole TARDIS groaned like it didn't want to do this while snagged by Hogwarts. The doctor slammed one lever down. The air outside the TARDIS shifted. Hermione felt it even through the walls, like the world had stopped sliding for one breath. "Now!" the doctor yelled. They burst back into the hall. Time felt thick, like walking through honey. In the corridor, 2 angels stood visible at once, caught mid-move, like someone had taken a picture of them in the act of hunting. Students were frozen in fear. A Hufflepuff girl was on the floor, halfway crawling away. Hermione ran to her, grabbed her arm, and dragged her back toward the safe corridor line. Harry hauled a smaller boy up by the robes. The doctor moved like a blur, pushing people, pulling them, placing them behind professors and mirrors. "Eyes!" the doctor shouted. "Eyes on them!" Portraits snapped back to watching, scared enough to obey. The thick feeling began to fade. The doctor looked at the angels, breathing hard. "Come on! Come on!" Then the field broke. The angels snapped out of stillness. One was locked by portraits and torches. The other was too close to a young wizard who had stumbled, turning his head in panic. Hermione saw the angel's hand reach. She saw the touch. It was not a strike. It was not a blast. Just fingers on a shoulder. The young wizard blinked, and he was gone. No blood. No body. Just empty air. Hermione's throat tightened so hard she could barely breathe. The doctor's face cracked for a moment. Pure grief. Pure anger. Then he forced it shut again, because there was still a fight happening. "Back," he commanded. "Everyone back!" Dumbledore arrived at the corridor like a storm given human shape. His wand was raised, eyes bright, voice calm in the middle of panic. "Hold the line," Dumbledore said. His magic flared, not wild, but controlled. The torches brightened again. Mirrors floated into position with a simple gesture. Portrait frames sealed themselves with shimmering force, so the portraits could not turn away. Hermione stared. She had seen Dumbledore do powerful magic before, but this felt like he was turning the corridor into a rule, a place where the angels could not win easily. The angels hesitated. Even they seemed to recognize a strong wall. Then, with one last flicker of movement, they retreated. Not running like people, just not there anymore, as if the shadows had swallowed them. Silence followed, broken only by sobbing. The Hufflepuff girl clung to Hermione's sleeve. Hermione held her without thinking, even though her own hands were shaking. Harry stood with his wand still up, staring at the empty space where the taken student had been. Ron leaned against a wall, pale, whispering. He was right there. He was right there. The doctor stood in the center of the corridor, chest rising and falling fast. Dumbledore stepped beside him. "You saved many," Dumbledore said quietly. The doctor's voice was rough. "Not enough." Snape appeared behind them, eyes hard. "Your predators have breached Hogwarts." The doctor turned his head slowly towards Snape. "Yes," he said. "And now they know this place is full of people who live long, bright lives." Snape's jaw tightened. "Meaning we are food." The doctor nodded once. "Meaning you are a target." Harry looked at the doctor. "Can you get him back?" The doctor's eyes met Harry's. There was no lie in them, no comfort trick. "I can try," the doctor said. "But time is a maze, and those things are very good at hiding in it." Harry's voice shook. "Then we try." The doctor stared at him for a long second. Then his mouth lifted into a small, fierce smile. "Okay," he said. "That's the spirit. That's the kind of dangerous hope that gets people in trouble." He looked down the corridor, at the statues that were just statues again. "For now." "Everyone," the doctor said, loud enough for the professors and students to hear. "Listen carefully. This is bigger than a school problem, bigger than a castle, bigger than your war." Dumbledore's eyes narrowed slightly. "You speak of more?" The doctor nodded, voice steady again. "When time leaks," he said, "it calls to things that hunt it. And if the leak stays open..." He did not finish the sentence. He didn't need to, because everyone could feel it now. Hogwarts had always been dangerous, but this danger was different. This danger did not care who you were, only when you blinked. The next day, Hogwarts was loud in the wrong way, not with laughter, not with gossip that felt harmless. It was loud with fear that people tried to hide. Whispers followed Hermione down every hallway. She heard the same words again and again. Statues. Blink. Gone. In class, nobody listened. Quills scratched paper, but minds were elsewhere. Every student kept glancing at corners, at armor stands, at anything made of stone. Even the portraits seemed quieter, like they had learned in one night that watching could be work. Hermione sat with Harry and Ron at lunch. The great hall felt too bright and still too dark. Harry kept staring at the doors, like he expected someone to be dragged in at any second. Ron kept checking behind his shoulder. He looked sick. Hermione tried to think. She tried to make it into a problem with steps. If she could do that, she could breathe. "Harry," she said softly, "you should eat." Harry didn't answer. Ron muttered, "How do you eat when a statue can just..." He couldn't finish. At the staff table, Professor McGonagall spoke in short, sharp sentences to the other teachers. Professor Flitwick looked like he hadn't slept. Snape sat rigid and still, eyes scanning the hall like he was counting exits. And the doctor was not eating at all. Hermione saw him near the far wall, speaking to a portrait as if it were a guard. His hands moved as he talked, fast and precise, like he was drawing a map in the air. He turned his head. At the same time, Hermione looked at him, like he felt her eyes. He gave her a small nod, a quiet message. "I'm still here." That should have helped. It didn't. Because then the front doors of the Great Hall opened, and the air changed. A line of Ministry people walked in like they owned the floor under their shoes. Hermione recognized the look. It was the look grown-ups wore when they were afraid, but pretending they were in control. The leading woman was short and neat, wearing pink, smiling like it was a treat to be here. Dolores Umbridge. Her smile was sweet. Her eyes were not. Behind her came aurors, robes dark, wands at their sides, and two men Hermione didn't know, wearing plain black, faces blank, not aurors, something else. Umbridge's voice rang out, bright and sharp. "Headmaster! What a dear place you have." Dumbledore stood at the staff table. He looked calm. Hermione had seen Dumbledore calm in danger before. It was a different kind of calm than normal people had. It was calm that chose to be calm. "Dolores," Dumbledore said politely. "To what do we owe this visit?" Umbridge put a hand to her chest like she was touched. "Oh, safety." "Order? The Ministry has heard some troubling reports." Her eyes slid over the students, then landed on the doctor. "Ah," she said, "and there he is." The doctor stepped away from the wall and walked into the open like he didn't care who watched. His face was friendly, but his shoulders were tight. "Hello," he said. "You're the one in charge of the smile. That's a strong skill." Umbridge gave a tiny laugh, as if she thought he was joking. "And you must be the doctor." "Yes," the doctor said. "I am." "And what a strange name," Umbridge cooed. "Now, before any more students are frightened, the Ministry will take over this situation." Dumbledore's smile stayed gentle. "Hogwarts is handling its own safety." Umbridge's smile did not move. "The Ministry disagrees. We have prepared a set of rules." She pulled out a rolled parchment, as if it were a wand. One of the aurors stepped forward. Another held a wooden box filled with seals. Hermione's stomach dropped. Umbridge read, voice sweet as sugar. "By order of the Ministry of Magic, the object known as the TARDIS is to be seized for inspection. The individual, known as the Doctor, is to be questioned under Ministry authority. Refusal will be seen as obstruction." The Great Hall went silent. Hermione heard someone drop a fork. Harry's hand tightened around his own wand under the table. Ron's breathing got fast again. The doctor blinked once. Then he let out a slow breath through his nose, like he was counting to 10. "Right," he said. "Okay. That's very on brand for you lot." Umbridge tilted her head. "Pardon?" The doctor reached into his coat and pulled out a small rectangle of paper. He smiled wide. "Here you go. This says I'm allowed to do whatever I want." Hermione leaned forward, ready for magic, ready for some clever trick. Umbridge stared at the paper. Then she smiled even wider. "That paper is blank," she said. The doctor stared back at it, offended, like the paper had betrayed him again. "You've got to be kidding me," he muttered. Then louder, "It's supposed to work." Umbridge's voice turned sharp under the sweetness. "So you admit to deception?" The doctor waved the paper once. "It's not deception, it's— Look, never mind." He stuffed it back into his pocket with a huff. Hermione almost laughed. It caught in her throat because it wasn't funny. Not really. "Not here." Dumbledore spoke, calm and firm. "Dolores, the doctor is a guest in this school." Umbridge's eyes hardened. "A guest who brought monsters into your corridors." A murmur ran through the hall. Hermione felt anger flare up. Monsters didn't come because the doctor wanted them. They came because something had already been wrong. The doctor's voice went quieter. "I didn't bring them. I followed a leak, like a firefighter follows smoke." Umbridge leaned closer, smile still fixed. "And perhaps you started the fire." Snape's voice cut in, smooth and cold. "If the Ministry wishes to protect this school, it might begin by not wasting time with speeches." Umbridge turned her smile on him. "Professor Snape, how loyal of you to speak." Snape's jaw tightened, but he stayed still. One of the black-clad men stepped forward. He didn't look at students. He didn't look at teachers. He looked at the doctor. Then he looked past him, as if he could see the blue box through the walls. Hermione didn't know why, but that made her skin crawl. Dumbledore's voice was pleasant. "You may inspect what you like, Dolores, under my supervision." Umbridge's smile snapped tight. "That is not what my order says." Dumbledore's eyes sharpened, just a fraction. "Then I must refuse." Silence again. Umbridge's voice became sugary poison. "Refusal will have consequences." Dumbledore's tone did not change. "Then we will face them." For a moment, Hermione thought Umbridge might actually order the Aurors to fight Dumbledore in the Great Hall. Then Umbridge breathed in and smiled again, like she had decided to play a longer game. "Very well," she said. "We will return with stronger authority." She turned to the doctor, eyes bright with control. "But until then, you will not leave this school, and you will not approach your box without permission." The doctor's eyes flashed. "You don't get to—" Dumbledore lifted a hand, a quiet warning. The doctor swallowed his anger down, but Hermione could see it in his hands. His fingers kept twitching, like he wanted to fix something and couldn't. Umbridge swept out the way she came, her people following. As the doors closed, the Great Hall breathed again. But the fear didn't leave. It just changed shape. Hermione looked at Harry. He looked like he was back in that hallway again, watching someone vanish. And Hermione realized something else too. The Ministry wasn't just afraid of the angels. They were afraid of the Doctor. And fear like that always tried to grab power. Later that evening, Hermione found the Doctor in an empty classroom. The room was dark except for one lamp on a desk. The Doctor sat with his coat still on, shoulders hunched, staring at a blank page as if he wanted to punch it. Hermione stood at the door for a second, unsure. The Doctor spoke without looking up. "Come in, Hermione Granger." Hermione stepped inside. "How did you—" The Doctor tapped his ear. "You walk like you're thinking. It's loud." Hermione didn't know what to say to that, so she sat down across from him. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Hermione blurted, "Why can't you just go back and stop it?" The Doctor's head lifted slowly. Hermione's cheeks heated. "I mean, stop Voldemort. Stop the statues. Stop everything. If you can travel in time, why can't you just fix it?" The Doctor's eyes were tired, not angry, just tired. "That question," he said softly, "is why time travel ruins people." Hermione stiffened. "I wouldn't ruin—" "I know," the Doctor said quickly. "You think you wouldn't. You think you'd do it right. You'd make a list. You'd be careful. You'd be kind." He leaned forward. "So did I." Hermione felt her throat tighten. The Doctor continued, voice simple, steady. "Time has rules, not because it's mean, because it has to hold together. You can't pull one thread without pulling others." Hermione frowned. "But if Voldemort never, then something else," the Doctor said, firmer now. "Or someone else. Or the same evil with a different face. And it might be worse, because you changed the steps people took to learn how to fight." Hermione's hands clenched. "So we just accept it?" "No," the Doctor said, sharp. "We fight it in the moment we're in. We save who we can. We protect people without turning into monsters." Hermione's voice shook. But you said someone was taken. Sent into the past. The doctor looked down at his hands. Yes. Can you bring them back? Hermione asked. The doctor's jaw tightened. I can try. But the angels don't drop people in neat places. They drop them where it hurts, where it feeds them best. Hermione swallowed. So what do we do? The doctor lifted his eyes again. We find the leak. We close it. We make this place harder to hunt in. Hermione's mind clicked into action. You said Hogwarts is a time knot. What makes it that? The doctor's mouth twitched. You're doing it again. Doing what? Turning fear into homework, the doctor said. It's a good trick. Keep it. Hermione exhaled, almost a laugh. So tell me. The doctor stood and paced once, then stopped like he'd decided. This castle is old, he said. Older than it looks. It has layers. Magic on magic on magic. That makes a heavy spot in reality. Like a deep footprint. Hermione nodded slowly. She understood the idea, even if the words were strange. And under that, the doctor added, voice lower, there's a thin place. Something like a crack. Someone's been picking at it, or it's been forced open. Hermione thought of the ministry people, of their blank faces. Who would do that? The doctor's eyes went distant. People who want answers more than they want safety. He turned toward the window. Rain dotted the glass again. And people who want control, he said quietly. Hermione's stomach sank. The ministry. Maybe, the doctor said. And maybe someone else. He looked back at Hermione, and for a second, his gaze was sharp and searching. Tell me about your Dark Lord, he said. The one you fear. Hermione's mouth went dry. Voldemort. The doctor nodded. Does he like being feared? Yes, Hermione said. He feeds on it. He wants it. The doctor's voice went flat. Then he will want the TARDIS. Hermione's heart thumped hard. Then we hide it, she said quickly. The doctor's face tightened. I wish it was that easy. In a cold place far from Hogwarts, Voldemort listened. The Death Eater who brought the news spoke carefully, voice shaking. A blue box, my lord. It arrived in lightning. Dumbledore has it near the castle. Voldemort did not blink. A man, the Death Eater continued, who calls himself the Doctor. The Ministry tried to seize the box. Dumbledore refused. Voldemort's mouth curved into something like a smile, but it held no warmth. A box bigger inside, Voldemort murmured. A man who arrives from nowhere. Monsters that look like statues. He walked slowly, fingers brushing the air as if it were strings. Time, he said. The word tasted sweet to him, like power that had been hidden from him. He turned to Snape's mark in his mind, feeling the faint pull of his spy's place. Not clear enough to read thoughts, but clear enough to feel tension. Voldemort's smile widened. Dumbledore keeps secrets, he said softly. But he cannot keep this secret from me. He lifted his wand. Shadows moved in the corners of the room, like listening things. Send Wormtail, Voldemort said. Send him to listen, to watch. To find where the box rests. The Death Eater bowed. Yes, my lord. Voldemort's eyes gleamed. And if the Doctor is a key, his voice lowered to a whisper, then I will take the key. Snape stood alone in a corridor that smelled like cold stone. He watched two suits of armor, not because he thought they would move, because he didn't trust anything now. The Doctor had given them rules. Rules were good. Rules were stable. But Snape had learned long ago that rules were also used to trap people. He heard footsteps and didn't turn. He didn't need to. The Doctor stopped beside him, hands in his coat pockets. You're thinking too loud, the Doctor said. Snape's voice was quiet. and you are walking too freely." The doctor snorted. "I'm walking. In a school. Terrible crime." Snape faced him, eyes cold. "The Ministry came for your box. You held back." The doctor's gaze sharpened. "Dumbledore asked me to." "And you listened," Snape said. The doctor's mouth tightened. "He's trying to keep students alive. I respect that." Snape's tone didn't change. "Or you stayed because you were caught." The doctor's eyes flashed, then settled. "Both can be true." Snape stepped closer, voice lower. "Tell me the truth. Are you the cause?" The doctor didn't answer right away. Then he said, "No." Snape stared, searching for cracks. The doctor met his eyes evenly. "But I'm connected now. Like a hook in cloth. If the leak is calling predators, my presence might make the call louder." Snape's jaw tightened. "Then you are a risk." "Yes," the doctor said. "And I'm also the one person in this building who recognizes what's hunting you." Snape's eyes flicked to the statues again. "We can kill monsters." The doctor's voice went sharp. "Not these ones. And if you try, you might make it worse." Snape's lip curled. "You fear we will study them." The doctor's face hardened. "I fear you'll try to use them. Or someone will." Snape's eyes narrowed. "You speak as if you know our kind." The doctor's voice went quiet. "I know people. Same everywhere." For a moment, Snape saw something behind the doctor's eyes. Loss. Too much of it. It didn't soften Snape, but it made him understand the shape of the doctor's anger. Snape stepped back. "Dumbledore trusts you." The doctor's mouth twisted. "Dumbledore trusts everyone. It's his superpower." Snape's eyes stayed sharp. "And what about you, Doctor? Do you trust him?" The doctor looked away, toward a window where rain slid down glass. "I trust what he's trying to be," the doctor said. "That's rare." Snape's voice was flat. "Trying is not enough." The doctor turned back. His eyes were fierce. "It's all anyone has." A pause. Then the doctor's shoulders dropped. Just a little. "Listen," he said. "Something happened today. The Ministry sent 2 people in black who didn't blink much. They didn't look at students. They looked at the TARDIS." Snape's eyes sharpened further. "Unspeakables." "Maybe," the doctor said. "Or maybe worse." Snape's voice was low. "Define worse." The doctor hesitated. Then he said, "Someone like me." Snape stared at him. The doctor forced a small smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Don't worry. If it's who I think it is, he'll smile first." Snape's wand hand flexed. "Then we prepare." The doctor nodded. "Yes." And for the first time since arriving, the doctor and Snape sounded like allies. Not friends, not trusting, but moving in the same direction because the danger didn't care about their feelings. That night, the castle shifted as it always did. Stairs moved. Doors opened to different hallways. But something else shifted too. Something quiet. Something sneaky. Harry lay awake, staring at the ceiling. He had tried to sleep. He had tried to tell himself the professors would handle it. But Harry had learned that danger liked to find him even when grown-ups said it wouldn't. A soft knock came at the dormitory door. Harry sat up, wand in hand. Ron's head popped up too. "Who?" Hermione slipped in, whispering fast. "Harry! Ron! Get up! Now!" Harry rubbed his eyes. "What is it?" Hermione's face was pale. "I heard Filch talking to someone. He said the Ministry is sending people tonight. They're going to try to take the blue box while everyone sleeps." Harry's stomach turned cold. "Now?" Hermione nodded. "Now." Ron swung his legs out of bed. "I hate this school sometimes." They moved like thieves through their own castle. Harry led the way, because he always did, and he hated that about himself. Hermione followed, eyes scanning everything. Ron kept muttering under his breath, like it helped him stay steady. They reached the courtyard. Moonlight made the stone statues look sharp. The blue box sat there, quiet. Harry exhaled. It's still here. Then Hermione grabbed his sleeve, hard. "Look," she whispered. 2 shadows moved near the box. Not teachers, not students. Adults in dark robes. One held a parchment. Another carried a case of tools. Their steps were careful. Harry raised his wand. Before he could move, the TARDIS door cracked open. Harry froze. The doctor stepped out, coat flapping, hair a mess, eyes furious. "You really cannot help yourselves," the doctor snapped, voice loud enough to cut the night. "It's like you see a big red button and your whole body screams, 'Press it!'" One of the dark-robed men lifted his wand. "By ministry authority," the doctor cut him off. "No!" The word hit like a wall. The man hesitated. The doctor pointed his sonic screwdriver. It whined. Nothing happened. The doctor stared at it. "Wood," he hissed again, like it was personal. Then he did something else. He flicked his wrist and tossed a small metal disc onto the ground. It beeped. A soft shimmer rose around the TARDIS door like a clear curtain. The men stepped forward and slammed into it like they had hit glass. They stumbled back, shocked. The doctor's voice was low and dangerous. "You don't touch my ship," one of the men sneered. "It's just a box." The doctor's eyes flashed. "Say that again." The men glanced at each other, and then, behind them, a statue shifted. Harry's breath stopped. The men didn't notice. They were too focused on the doctor. Hermione grabbed Ron's arm. "Don't blink," she whispered. The doctor's head snapped toward the statue. His whole face changed. He didn't look angry now. He looked scared. "Everybody," the doctor said, voice sharp, eyes on the statues. "Now." The ministry men turned. They saw nothing but stone. They relaxed. Just a little. And that little bit was enough. Because the angel was already moving. Harry saw it in the corner of his eye. A blur of stone wings. The doctor lunged, shoving the nearest ministry man backward. The angel froze. Inches away, locked by Harry's stare, and the doctor's stare, and Hermione's stare. Ron whimpered. "It's right there." The second ministry man blinked. Just once. The angel vanished. The man screamed, spun, and the angel was behind him. Its hand touched his chest. The man vanished. Gone. The courtyard fell silent except for the wind. The remaining ministry man stumbled backward, face white, mouth opening and closing like a fish. The doctor stepped closer, eyes hard. "Now do you understand?" the doctor said. "You came here to steal. You fed them." The man shook his head wildly. I didn't." The doctor's voice went cold. "Get out. Go tell your bosses you can't control this with paperwork." The man ran. Harry stared at the empty space where the man had been. Hermione's voice shook. "He's alive. Just somewhere else." The doctor swallowed. Jaw tight. "Yes?" He turned toward the TARDIS, eyes scanning the courtyard. "The leak is widening," he said, voice rough. "They're getting bolder, smarter. They waited for distraction." Harry's hands clenched. "So what do we do now?" The doctor looked at them, really looked at them. Then he nodded once, like he'd made a decision he didn't want to make. "We stop playing defense," he said. "We find the crack, we seal it." He glanced at the TARDIS door. "And we do it before someone worse than the ministry gets here." Hermione whispered. "Worse than the ministry?" The doctor's eyes went distant again, like he was hearing a voice from far away. "Trust me," he said quietly. "There's always worse." By morning, Dumbledore didn't try to pretend this was a normal school anymore. He moved Hogwarts like a commander moving a fortress. Students stayed in groups. Professors guarded key halls. Portraits were given clear orders. Mirrors were placed in corners. like extra eyes. And the doctor became a strange kind of teacher, not teaching spells, teaching rules. "Slow down," he told a group of older students. "Panic makes you blink. Panic makes you run alone. Panic feeds them." Hermione watched him, and she understood why some people followed him. He didn't ask for trust with fancy words. He earned it by seeing danger clearly and refusing to lie about it. Still, the tension didn't break. It tightened. Because now Voldemort knew, and because now the Ministry wanted the TARDIS even more, and because the Doctor had said something worse might be coming. Hermione didn't want to believe that. But when she caught a glimpse of a new Ministry visitor speaking to Umbridge in the entrance hall, tall, calm, smiling too easily, Hermione felt a cold pinch in her gut. The man's eyes slid over the stone walls like he was counting angles. Then he looked straight at the Doctor, and the Doctor went still. Just for half a second, like two predators had spotted each other through tall grass. The man's smile widened. The Doctor's face turned blank. Hermione didn't know who that was, but she knew in her bones that the Doctor did. The Doctor stood inside the TARDIS, hands on the console, trying to breathe. The ship hummed under his palms, warm and alive, but tense, like it was hurting. "Come on," he murmured. "Work with me." The TARDIS gave a low groan. He wasn't going to get her free of Hogwarts wards today. He knew that. But he might be able to do something else. He looked at the readings again. Time drift, local distortion, a pulse that kept repeating, like a heartbeat that didn't belong. The crack wasn't random. It had a center, a place where time was thin, a place Hogwarts had built itself around. He heard a careful knock on the doorframe. He turned. Hermione stood there with Harry and Ron behind her. Dumbledore was with them too, calm as ever. Snape stood just outside, arms folded, eyes sharp, as if he didn't trust the floor. The Doctor forced a small smile. "Right. Team meeting. Great. Love it." Dumbledore's voice was gentle. "You believe you can find the source?" The Doctor nodded. "Yes. But I'll need help." Hermione stepped forward at once. "I'll help." Ron opened his mouth to complain, then shut it, because it was obvious he would help too. Harry's eyes were tired and fierce. "Tell us what to do." The Doctor looked at them for a long second. Kids. In a war. Still standing. He nodded. "Okay." He tapped the console. "I need an anchor. Something old. Something tied to Hogwarts' deepest magic. If I can link the TARDIS field to that anchor, I can stitch the crack smaller." Snape's voice cut in. "And if you fail?" The Doctor didn't flinch. "Then it gets worse." Snape's eyes narrowed. "Honest." "I try," the Doctor said. Dumbledore's gaze was thoughtful. "There are places in this castle even I avoid." The Doctor's mouth twitched. "Perfect. I love forbidden areas." McGonagall's voice came from the doorway. She had appeared without anyone noticing, which was very McGonagall. "No." The Doctor blinked. "Oh, hello." McGonagall's eyes were sharp. "If you are going to drag students into danger, Doctor, you will do it with my knowledge." The Doctor sighed. "Fair." Dumbledore lifted a hand. "Minerva, the danger is already here." McGonagall's jaw tightened. Then she looked at Harry, Hermione, and Ron. "You will stay behind the Doctor," she said. "You will not run ahead. You will not wander. And if I say leave, you leave." Harry nodded at once. Hermione nodded. Ron nodded a beat slower, but he did. The Doctor clapped his hands once. "Brilliant. Okay. We need to move before someone else pokes the crack again." Snape's eyes flicked toward the corridor. "And what about the Ministry?" The Doctor's face hardened. "Let them write their orders. We'll fix the hole before they turn it into a doorway." He stepped toward the TARDIS door, then paused, and looked back at Hermione. "Hermione," he said, "you know this castle better than I do. Where would you hide something dangerous for 1,000 years?" Hermione didn't even need to think long. She swallowed. "The room of requirement," she said, "and the places under the castle, the old tunnels, the forgotten halls." The doctor nodded. "Then that's where we're going." They started with the room of requirement because it was the only place in Hogwarts that seemed to understand need. Hermione led them to the blank wall and paced 3 times, thinking hard. A place that shows the source of the time leak. The door appeared. The doctor looked at it and grinned. Finally. A door that plays along. He pulled out the sonic screwdriver out of habit, pointed it. Nothing. He stared at the wooden door. "Don't," Hermione said quickly. The doctor huffed and put it away. "Still wood." They went inside. The room was not full of old-school junk today. Today it was a long hall of clocks, hundreds of them. Grandfather clocks, pocket watches, tiny desk clocks, huge gears on walls. Some ticked, some were silent, some moved too fast, some moved too slow. Ron whispered, "I hate this." Harry's eyes narrowed. "It feels wrong." The doctor's face was serious now. He walked slowly, listening with his whole body. "This is it," he said softly. "This room is showing us the problem." Hermione took a step forward and felt a chill run up her spine. At the far end of the hall, there was a doorway that wasn't really a doorway. It looked like air, but it bent in a strange way. Like looking through heat, but colder. The doctor's voice was low. "The crack." Dumbledore lifted his wand, cautious. "What lies beyond?" The doctor didn't answer at first, because something moved inside the bend of air. Not stone, not a statue. Metal. A thin figure stepped out, tall and narrow, like a person built from clock parts. Its face had no skin, just a smooth mask with carved lines. Another stepped out behind it, then another. Ron backed up. "What are those?" The doctor's jaw tightened. "Clockwork droids," he said. "They shouldn't be here." The droids tilted their heads in the same motion, as if they were sharing one mind. A voice came from one of them, flat and calm, like a machine reading a report. "Time is loose," it said. "Time must be collected." Hermione's stomach dropped. "Collected?" The doctor stepped forward, hands raised. "No. Wrong universe. Wrong school. Turn around and go home." The droid's head tilted again. "Life moments are valuable," it said. "We take." It moved. Not fast like an angel, but steady, certain. Like it didn't need to rush. It reached toward Hermione. Hermione felt something strange, like the air around her got heavy, like her heartbeats were being counted. Harry shoved Hermione back and fired a stunning spell. The red light hit the droid's chest. The droid didn't fall. It barely reacted. It turned its blank face toward Harry. Ron's voice cracked. "That didn't work," the doctor snapped, "because it's not alive the way you mean." Dumbledore moved. His wand drew a clean arc, and a bright ribbon of magic wrapped around the droid's arms, pinning them to its sides. The droid fought against it. Gears whined. Metal creaked. Dumbledore's spell held. Hermione stared. Even tied down, the thing felt wrong. Like it didn't belong in a world with homework and Quidditch. More droids stepped through the crack. The doctor cursed under his breath and ran to the side of the hall, scanning the clocks. "They're using the leak as a path," he said, "and they're drawn to the time weight of this place." Snape's voice came from behind, cold. In simple words, the doctor snapped back. "They smell your lives. You live long, bright lives in here. They want to steal that." Ron looked sick again. "So they're like the angels." "Different," the doctor said. "But yes, predators." Hermione's mind raced. Can they be trapped by watching? The doctor shook his head. No. They don't freeze. They don't play that game. A droid lifted its arm. A thin wire shot out like a whip and wrapped around Ron's wrist. Ron yelped and tried to pull back. Hermione saw the wire glow faintly. Ron's face went pale, like strength was draining out of him. The doctor lunged, grabbed the wire with a gloved hand, and yanked it free with a sharp twist. "Don't touch their wires," the doctor snapped at Ron. "They don't just grab you, they measure you." Ron stumbled back, breathing hard. "I didn't ask them to measure me." The doctor's eyes flicked to Hermione. "We can't fight all of them here. We need to close the crack." Hermione stared at the bending doorway. It pulsed like a heartbeat. "How?" she shouted over the ticking, the creaking metal, the spells firing. The doctor pointed at the clocks. "This room is giving us a clue. Hogwarts is using time tools. Not mine. Yours." Hermione's mind flashed to one thing. Time turners. But those were ministry items. And she swallowed. She remembered hearing they had been destroyed in the Department of Mysteries. Still, Hogwarts had its own secrets. Dumbledore's voice came steady. "There is an old mechanism in the castle," he said. "An orrery, a model of the stars. It is tied to the school's founding magic." The doctor's head snapped toward him. "Yes, that could be an anchor." Harry shouted, "Then we go." The doctor looked at the droids, then at the crack. "Not yet," he said. "If we run, they follow. We need to slow them." He turned to the portraits lining the room. Yes, even here. Frames hung on the walls, witches and wizards peering out, alarmed. "Hey," the doctor yelled. "I need you to do one thing. Watch that doorway. If anything stone comes through, scream. If anything metal comes through, scream louder." One portrait blinked. "What?" "Just scream," the doctor said. "It helps." The doctor ran to the nearest big clock and ripped open a panel with his fingers. Hermione stared. "How did you?" the doctor snapped. "No time!" He pulled out wires, twisted them, then slapped the panel shut. The clock began to tick faster, then faster. A loud chime rang out. The droids turned their heads toward it all at once, like dogs hearing a whistle. "Good," the doctor breathed. "They like rhythm. It guides them." He pointed at the crack. "Now, move." They ran. Not alone, not scattered. Together. They burst out of the room of requirement and into the moving castle, footsteps pounding on stone. Behind them, the ticking grew louder. Then it stopped. Hermione felt it like a sudden cold. The doctor looked back once, face grim. "They'll adapt," he said. "They always do." They didn't have much time. They headed for the astronomy tower because that was where the old orrery sat. An ancient star model used for lessons, but built on deeper magic. On the stairs, the castle shifted, trying to split them. Dumbledore lifted his wand and stilled the staircase with a clean, firm spell. Even the castle seemed to respect that. They reached the tower. The orrery sat in the center of a round room. Metal rings, small glowing spheres, slow turning arms that mapped the sky. It hummed softly, like it was breathing. The doctor rushed to it and placed his hands on the cold metal. He closed his eyes. Hermione watched his face change. Not wonder now. Focus. "This is old," he murmured. "This is a real anchor. This thing has been counting your nights for centuries." Snape's voice was sharp. "Can it seal the crack?" The doctor opened his eyes. "It can help me stitch it," he said. "But I need one more thing." Hermione's heart sank. "What?" The doctor looked at the TARDIS door far below, as if he could see through the castle. "I need a pulse from my ship," he said. "A small one. A field. Just enough to tie my tech to your magic without tearing either. McGonagall's voice cut in from the doorway. She had followed, of course. Absolutely not. The doctor turned. Minerva. I know what you plan, McGonagall snapped. You will not risk the school for your machine. The doctor's eyes hardened. The school is already at risk. This isn't about my machine. It's about closing a door. Dumbledore stepped forward, calm. Minerva. The doctor is correct. McGonagall's jaw clenched. Her eyes flicked to Harry, to Hermione, to Ron, students who should not be here. Then she exhaled, sharp. Do it, she said, but do it fast. The doctor nodded once. Fast is my favorite. They moved back down as quickly as Hogwarts allowed. Halfway, they found the corridor near the courtyard full of people. Teachers, students, Aurors, and Umbridge. She stood in the center like a pink anchor, holding another parchment with seals, so thick it looked like it weighed a ton. Her voice was loud. By highest ministry authority, the TARDIS will be seized now. You will not interfere. The doctor pushed through the crowd and stopped. Hermione saw it at once. The tall, smiling ministry visitor was with Umbridge again, standing just behind her shoulder, hands clasped, eyes bright. He looked at the doctor like he was looking at an old friend. The doctor went still. The man's smile widened. Umbridge lifted her wand toward the TARDIS door. Open, she commanded. The doctor shouted, Don't. Umbridge snapped her head. Silence. The tall man leaned in close to Umbridge and whispered something Hermione couldn't hear. Umbridge's smile faltered for the first time. Then she stepped back, suddenly unsure. The tall man walked forward, still smiling. He spoke, voice smooth. May I? He lifted his hand toward the TARDIS door. The door clicked. Hermione's blood ran cold. The doctor's face went white. No, the doctor whispered. No, no, no. The tall man didn't look surprised by the bigger on the inside fact. Not even a little. He just smiled like he'd been waiting for it. And then the courtyard air changed. The statues along the wall shifted. A stone angel appeared on the roofline, arms over its face. Then another by the fountain. Then another at the edge of the crowd. Screams erupted. People blinked. People turned. People ran. The doctor roared, Eyes! Everyone! Eyes on the statues! Dumbledore's voice cut through like a bell. Do not run! Pair up! Watch! Spells lit the courtyard. Light flared. Mirrors floated. But it was chaos. And chaos was what the angels loved. Hermione locked her eyes on the nearest angel and didn't move. She didn't blink. Her eyes burned. Tears formed. But she didn't blink. In the corner of her vision, she saw the tall man step back into the TARDIS doorway, like it was his home. The doctor sprinted toward him. Who are you? The doctor shouted, voice cracking with fury. The tall man turned his head, smile calm in the middle of terror. Oh, he said, softly amused. Still asking that? Then he slipped inside. The TARDIS lights flashed through the open door like a heartbeat. The doctor skidded to a stop at the threshold, staring in, breathing hard. He didn't chase. He couldn't. Not with angels in the courtyard and students screaming. Hermione saw his hands shake, not from fear of dying, from fear of what that man could do with the ship. The doctor stepped back, eyes blazing, voice low. Okay, he said to himself. Okay. That's it. That's the trap. He turned toward Dumbledore, voice sharp. We do the seal. Now. Before he makes it worse. Dumbledore nodded once, eyes hard. Then we move. And the tall man's laughter echoed faintly from inside the blue box, like the sound of a door closing on a disaster. The courtyard became a storm of voices. Students screamed. Professors shouted orders. Aurors tried to push through the crowd like they were still in charge. even after one of them had vanished in a blink. Hermione stood near the fountain with Harry and Ron, her eyes locked on a stone angel perched on the low wall. The angel's hands covered its face like it was crying. Its wings were folded tight. Hermione's eyes burned. Tears gathered, but she did not blink. "Swap," the doctor said behind her, voice loud and sharp. "Harry, you blink! Hermione, keep eyes! Ron, count!" Ron's voice trembled. 1, 2, 3. Harry blinked fast. Once, then again, like he was scared his eyelids would betray him. Hermione stayed staring. The angel did not move. More angels were scattered across the courtyard now, one on the roofline, one by the steps, one behind a statue of a wizard that had been there long before the doctor arrived. Dumbledore moved through the chaos like a calm tide. With one smooth gesture, he lifted 3 mirrors from the hallway and floated them into the courtyard. They spun and locked into place, facing each other so they could see around corners. McGonagall's voice cut through the panic. "Pears! No one alone! Do not run!" Snape stood near the edge of the crowd, wand raised, eyes cold. He wasn't shouting. He didn't need to. Older students and a few Slytherins fell into line behind him, forming a tight group, their wands and eyes trained outward. Snape didn't trust the doctor, but he trusted a plan that kept children alive. Umbridge had backed away from the blue box. Her face was pale under the pink. She kept opening her mouth, like she wanted to order someone to fix this, then closing it again when she realized no order could stop an angel. The doctor didn't look at her. His focus stayed on the TARDIS door. The tall, smiling man had stepped inside like he had a key. The doctor's hand shook once, then he forced them still. "Dumbledore!" the doctor shouted. Dumbledore turned, eyes steady. "I need 2 minutes," the doctor said. 2 minutes to tie the seal to the orrery. But I need the TARDIS to pulse. Just a heartbeat. That's all. "And the man inside?" Dumbledore asked. The doctor's jaw tightened. "That's my problem." Dumbledore nodded once. "Minerva." McGonagall looked at him, then at the students, then at the angels. She swallowed anger and fear and turned it into steel. "Flitwick," she snapped. "Light. Constant light. Lock it down. No flickers." Flitwick raised his wand and cast a spell that made the torches flare bright and steady, like they had become part of the stone. The doctor pointed at Hermione. "You, with me?" Hermione's stomach flipped, but she nodded. "Yes." "Harry," the doctor said. "Ron, stay with Dumbledore. Mirror duty. Blink duty. No hero runs." Harry's eyes were fierce. "You're not dying in there?" The doctor flashed a tight grin. "I'll try not to. Hate paperwork." Then he ran straight at the TARDIS. He didn't step inside. He stopped at the threshold, breathing hard, and pressed his palm to the blue door, as if he could feel the ship's pulse through the paint. "Old girl," he whispered, low enough that only Hermione heard. "Help me." The TARDIS hummed. The sound was deep and warm. It didn't feel like a machine. It felt like a living thing holding its breath. The doctor reached into his coat and pulled out a small metal key and a flat device with glowing lines. He pressed the device to the door. A soft click. The TARDIS lights inside pulsed once, like a heartbeat. Then a voice came from inside. Smooth, calm, smiling even without a face to see it. "Doctor," the voice said. "You always were dramatic." Hermione's skin went cold. The doctor didn't flinch. "Hello, Master." Umbridge's head snapped toward the blue box. "Master? Who?" The doctor ignored her. The voice continued, warm as honey. "This is a lovely little world. Wands, rules, fear, all so simple. You could fix it in an afternoon." The doctor's voice turned flat. "Get out of my ship." "I'm not hurting it," the master said, sounding almost hurt. "I'm just exploring. You brought me somewhere new. Again. Hermione stared at the door, trying to understand. "Doctor," she whispered. "Who is that?" The doctor spoke without taking his hand off the door. "Someone like me. Same kind, different choices." The master chuckled. "Tell her the truth. Tell them all. Let's make it exciting." The doctor's eyes flicked to Hermione, and his voice went tight. "I'm not human." Hermione's breath caught. The master's voice purred. "Time Lord. Last of the great travelers. Such a grand title. Such a sad little life." The doctor's hand tightened on the device. "You're stuck here. Hogwarts wards have my ship snagged. You can't fly her out." "Oh, I know," the master said cheerfully. "But I can still make trouble. I can widen that crack. I can invite every hungry thing in the dark to come for dinner." The doctor's face hardened. "If you touch that crack, then what?" the master asked lightly. "You'll frown at me? You'll say I'm naughty? You never follow through." Hermione saw the doctor swallow something down. Rage, pain, old memories. She couldn't name them, but she could feel them. The doctor forced his voice steady. "I need a pulse. One. Then I'm sealing it." The master sighed dramatically. "And I'm offering you a better option." The doctor didn't answer. So the master kept talking, like he knew silence was a crack too. "You know what I can do with this ship and your magic castle?" the master said. "We can rewrite. We can pick the best outcome and lock it in place. No Dark Lord, no dead parents, no children disappearing into the past." Hermione's throat tightened at the words. Dead parents. She saw Harry across the courtyard, holding a mirror with Ron, eyes locked on an angel. Harry's face was set like stone. The master's voice lowered. Softer, more personal. "Doctor, you've lost people. You pretend you're fine. You smile, you run. But you remember." The doctor's breath hitched once. Hermione's stomach twisted. The master was aiming at a wound. "Let me help you," the master whispered. "Just once. No rules, no guilt. We take what we want. We fix what hurt us." The doctor's eyes closed for half a second. Hermione saw it. The temptation. Not power for fun. Power to stop pain. Then the doctor opened his eyes again, and the look in them was simple and fierce. "No," he said. The word didn't shake. It didn't wobble. It landed like a door locking. The master laughed softly. "Still doing the noble thing." The doctor leaned closer to the door, voice low. "I'm doing the right thing." "Right," the master echoed. "Tell that to the boy who just vanished." Hermione flinched. The doctor's jaw clenched so hard it looked like it hurt. "Don't," he warned. The master's tone turned playful again, like he hadn't just been cruel. "Fine. If you won't take the easy path, take the hard one. Seal the crack." Hermione blinked once, fast, swapping with the doctor's stare on the nearest angel. Her eyes burned, but she stayed steady. "And while you do," the master added, "I'll have a little chat with your local monster." "Voldemort, is it?" Such a tidy villain name. The doctor's blood went cold. "Don't you dare." The master's voice sang with delight. "Oh, doctor, I always dare." The TARDIS pulsed again. Not a heartbeat this time, more like a signal. Hermione felt it in her teeth. The doctor swore under his breath and tore the device away from the door. "That was you," he snapped. "Of course it was me," the master said. The doctor turned to Hermione. "We're doing this now. Move." They ran. Up the stairs, through corridors, past portraits that shouted warnings, past students pressed against walls with eyes wide, trying not to blink. Hermione's lungs burned by the time they reached the astronomy tower again. The orrery waited in the center, turning in slow, steady circles, like it did not care that time itself was leaking downstairs. Dumbledore was already there. He had moved ahead while the doctor handled the courtyard. McGonagall and Snape came in behind, like guards. The doctor rushed to the orrery and pulled out a small crystal cylinder from his coat. He placed it against the metal ring. "Okay," he muttered. "Okay. Sink, stitch, seal." Hermione stepped to his side. "Tell me what to do." The doctor's eyes flicked to her. "Count the rotation." "Not the stars, the rhythm. Hogwarts is magic, but it still has patterns. If we match the pattern, the seal holds." Hermione nodded. She watched the orrery's turning arms. She counted under her breath, fast and steady. Below them, the castle groaned. Not the normal groan of moving stairs. This was deeper. A strain. Then a flicker ran through the tower lights. The doctor's head snapped up. "He's pushing the crack!" Snape's voice was cold. "Then stop him!" The doctor barked a humorless laugh. If only it worked like that. Dumbledore stepped forward, wand raised. "Tell me what you require." The doctor's voice turned sharp. "I need you to hold the space steady, not with force, with order. Make the room believe it has one job, to stay still." Dumbledore didn't argue. He lifted his wand and spoke a spell that wasn't loud, but felt heavy. The air in the tower settled. The orrery's hum grew steadier. Hermione's counting smoothed out. The doctor's hands flew across his device. Lights blinked in a pattern. "Now," he said. "When I say, you push magic into the orrery like you're feeding a fire. But controlled, not wild." Dumbledore nodded. "I understand." The doctor leaned closer to the crystal cylinder. "Come on," he whispered. "Just a heartbeat." The cylinder glowed, and the world seemed to tighten around them like a belt pulled one notch. Hermione felt the crack, even from here, like a cold draft through a closed window. The doctor's eyes widened. "There, that's the thread." He looked at Dumbledore. "Now." Dumbledore's wand flared with clean, bright power. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't chaotic, it was pure control. The orrery rings shone. The crystal cylinder drank the light and turned it into a steady pulse. Hermione's ears popped. For a second, she felt like she was falling, even though she was standing still. The doctor's voice was tight. "Hold it! Hold it!" A sharp laugh echoed from below, faint but clear, like it came through the stone itself. The master. Then a new voice, cold and silky, threaded into the sound. "Voldemort." Hermione's blood turned to ice. The doctor went pale. "He contacted him." Snape's face changed, just a fraction. Anger, fear, familiar dread. Dumbledore's eyes stayed steady. "Continue?" The doctor swallowed. "If Voldemort arrives while we're sealing, we will meet him," Dumbledore said simply. The tower door slammed open. A blast of cold air rushed in, carrying the smell of smoke and wet earth. Harry stumbled inside with Ron, both panting, both pale. Harry's glasses were cracked at one corner. "Professor," Harry gasped. "He's here." Dumbledore didn't ask who. He already knew. The stone at the far wall rippled, like air turning into water. A figure stepped out of the distortion, as if he had torn himself through a gap. Lord Voldemort. His eyes swept the room and landed on the doctor and the glowing orrery. His mouth curled. "Time Lord," Voldemort said softly, tasting the words. "How interesting." Hermione's heart hammered. So the master had told him. So fast. Voldemort's gaze slid to Dumbledore. "You hide so many toys, old man." Dumbledore's voice was calm. "This is not yours." Voldemort smiled wider. "Everything becomes mine, in the end." The doctor didn't move away from the cylinder. His hand stayed locked on the device. Sweat beaded on his forehead. He spoke without looking at Voldemort. "I'm busy. Try evil later." Voldemort's smile twitched, offended. Snape shifted subtly, positioning himself between Voldemort and the students, without anyone ordering him to. Harry raised his wand, but his hand shook. Ron swallowed hard. "This is insane." Voldemort lifted his wand. Dumbledore lifted his. The air snapped with power. The duel didn't begin with shouting. It began with control. Voldemort sent a thin curse like a knife. Dumbledore turned it aside with a simple motion, as if he had redirected a thrown stone. Dumbledore's counter wasn't a curse. It was a barrier, rising like clear glass across the tower, forcing Voldemort back 2 steps. Voldemort's eyes flashed. He struck again, harder. Stone cracked along the ceiling. The orrery shuddered. Hermione's counting faltered. The doctor hissed through his teeth. "No! No! No! Don't shake it!" "Then finish," Snape snapped, and Hermione had never heard Snape sound so raw. The doctor's voice went low and dangerous. "I am finishing." Voldemort's attention snapped to the glowing cylinder. He understood, too. This was the lock. He lunged, not at Dumbledore, but toward the doctor. Dumbledore moved like a wall. He didn't chase. He placed himself in the path, wand flicking. The barrier shifted, cutting Voldemort's angle. Voldemort hissed, frustrated, and sent a wave of dark force that cracked the barrier like ice. Harry stepped forward without thinking, trying to help, but Dumbledore's voice stopped him like a hand on the chest. "Harry," Dumbledore said calmly, "protect the doctor." Harry froze, then snapped into action. He and Ron raised their wands and cast bright light spells at the tower corners. Hermione realized why a second later. A stone angel stood in the doorway. It hadn't been there a moment ago. It stood with hands over its face, like it had been waiting. Voldemort's eyes flicked to it, curious for half a second. The doctor's voice went sharp. "Don't look away from it," Voldemort scoffed. "A statue?" The angel twitched. Harry shouted, "Professor, don't blink!" Dumbledore didn't blink. His eyes stayed steady on Voldemort, but he angled a mirror with a flick, catching the angel in reflection. The angel froze. Voldemort's gaze snapped back to the doctor, anger rising. "So many rules," he spat. "So much fragility." The doctor's voice was steady, even as his hand shook from effort. "That's life. Fragile. Worth protecting." Voldemort raised his wand again, preparing something heavier. And then the tower lights flickered. Just once. Hermione's stomach dropped. The angel's fingers twitched. The doctor shouted, "No!" The flicker stopped, like someone had grabbed the light and forced it to stay. Dumbledore's magic. He had stabilized the room again. Hermione's eyes burned from staring at the angel in the mirror, but she did not blink. The doctor leaned into the cylinder like he was pushing his whole soul into the seal. "Stitch," he whispered. "Stitch, stitch." The crack in time, somewhere below, pulled back like a wound being closed. Hermione felt it in her bones. The cold draft shrank. The orrery's rings glowed brighter, then steadied. The doctor's device beeped. Then, with a final heavy hum, the cylinder flared once and went quiet. The air in the tower snapped back into normal. The draft was gone. The pressure eased. For the first time in days, Hermione felt like the castle wasn't bleeding. The doctor swayed, breath ragged, but he stayed upright. "It's sealed," he said hoarsely. "Not perfect, but sealed." Voldemort's eyes narrowed. For the first time, he looked truly angry. He had been denied. He lifted his wand again, and the doctor did something Hermione didn't expect. He turned to Voldemort, eyes blazing, and spoke plainly. "You don't get time," the doctor said. "You don't get the universe. You don't get to own people." Voldemort sneered. "And you will stop me?" The doctor's smile was small and fierce. "No, not alone." Dumbledore stepped forward. power quiet, but immense. He will not be alone. For a heartbeat. Voldemort and Dumbledore stood in a stare that felt like two storms facing each other. Then Voldemort's gaze flicked toward the doorway. The angel had not moved, still locked in the mirror's stare. Voldemort's mouth tightened. He made a choice, not because he was scared of Dumbledore, not exactly, because he had learned something. This world now had new rules and new dangers. Voldemort stepped back into the thin ripple he had arrived through. Before he vanished, he spoke softly. "Time Lord," he said. "We will speak again." Then he was gone. The air warmed a little. Hermione's knees nearly gave out. She leaned against the orrery, breathing hard. Harry's shoulders sagged like he had been holding up the tower with his spine. Ron let out a shaky laugh that sounded like a sob. Snape's eyes stayed hard, scanning corners, scanning shadows. As if he expected the nightmare to continue anyway. The doctor turned to the angel. "Now," he said, voice low, "you can leave too." The angel didn't move, because it couldn't. The crack was sealed. The path it had used was gone. Dumbledore lifted his wand and shifted the mirror, so the angel stayed, caught in a steady reflection. McGonagall appeared at the doorway, breathless, eyes fierce. She took one look at the trapped angel and went pale. "What is that?" she whispered. "A problem," the doctor said. "A locked problem." He looked at Harry and the others. "We don't smash it. We don't study it. We put it somewhere. It will always be watched." Hermione's eyes widened. "A portrait corridor." The doctor nodded. "Exactly." Dumbledore's gaze was thoughtful. The portraits would agree? The doctor's mouth twitched. "If we tell them it's the most important gossip job they've ever had." Ron muttered. "They'll love that." The doctor exhaled, long and shaky. Then his eyes snapped toward the tower wall. He could feel it. A presence. A laugh, faint and distant. The master. Not in the tower, not in the crack. Still inside the TARDIS. Hermione saw the doctor's jaw clench. He didn't chase. Not tonight. Not with students shaking and a sealed crack that still needed guarding. He made a choice. The hard one. "Everyone," Dumbledore said, voice steady. "Back to your dormitories. Now." McGonagall started herding students out at once, eyes sharp, no room for argument. Harry paused by the doctor. "He's still in your box." The doctor nodded, eyes tired. "Yes." Harry swallowed. "What are you going to do?" The doctor gave a thin smile. "What I always do." He looked down at his shaking hands and forced them still again. "I'll keep going." Days passed, then weeks. Hogwarts didn't forget. It couldn't. Not after students had vanished into the past. Not after stone had moved when nobody watched. But the fear changed. It became something people could live beside. The corridors gained mirrors in key places. Not everywhere, just enough. Portraits were given rules and a job that made them feel important. They watched specific angles. They shouted if anything seemed wrong. They competed over who was the best watcher, which was ridiculous and also useful. The trapped angel was moved into a long portrait hallway and locked in place by reflections and constant eyes. It stood there, forever crying into its hands, unable to hunt. The doctor developed a routine. He walked the halls at night with a small lantern that never flickered. He checked the thin spots with devices he built out of whatever he could find and whatever Hermione could translate into wizard logic. He ran blink drills with older students. He made it feel like a game because games made fear smaller. "Swap," he'd say. "Count. Breathe. Don't panic." He met with Dumbledore often, in quiet rooms, speaking in low voices about cracks and anchors and how Hogwarts had scars now. and he argued with Snape constantly. Not loud fights, sharp ones, clean ones. Snape wanted control and containment. The doctor wanted safety without turning the school into a prison. Neither fully trusted the other, but both kept children alive, so the arguments stayed useful. The ministry, of course, was furious. Umbridge returned twice with new orders and thicker parchment. Each time, Dumbledore refused to hand over the TARDIS. Each time, Umbridge smiled harder, eyes colder, and each time she left with the promise of consequences. The doctor also had a new small problem that never stopped. Every door in Hogwarts was wood. Every door. He would lift his sonic screwdriver without thinking, point it, hear the soft whine, and get nothing. He would stare at the door like it had personally insulted him. Then he would sigh, still wood, and open it with his hand like a normal person. Ron thought that was the funniest thing in the world. He laughed every time, like it was keeping him sane. One evening, late, Hermione found the doctor in the courtyard near the blue box. The sky was clear. The grass was dark with dew. The doctor stood with one hand on the TARDIS door, head tilted like he was listening. Hermione approached quietly. "Is he still in there?" she asked. The doctor didn't look away. "Yes." Hermione's throat tightened. "Why haven't you forced him out?" The doctor's mouth twisted. "Because I don't want to break my ship, and because he wants me to try. He wants a fight that damages everything." Hermione swallowed. "So, you're just waiting?" The doctor finally looked at her. His eyes were tired, but steady. "I'm choosing," he said, "every day, not to become him." Hermione nodded slowly. She understood, even if she hated it. Then the TARDIS door clicked. Hermione froze. The doctor didn't move. He just straightened a little, like he'd been expecting this. The door opened. The master stepped out. He wore a black suit that looked too neat for Hogwarts mud. His smile was bright, like a lamp that didn't warm anything. He looked at Hermione and sighed, as if she was an inconvenience. Then he looked at the doctor, like they were old friends. "Well," the master said, "this place is charming. You've made yourself a little nest." Hermione's hand went to her wand. The master didn't even glance at it. The doctor's voice was calm. "Leave." The master clasped his hands. "You sealed the crack. Clever. You used their star toy and your ship's pulse. Very you. Very noble." Hermione's heart pounded. "What do you want?" The master smiled at her. "Honestly, I want the doctor to stop pretending he likes suffering." Hermione's stomach turned. The doctor's eyes flashed. "Don't talk to her." The master shrugged. "Fine. Then I'll talk to you." He stepped closer to the doctor, lowering his voice like it was a secret. "I can still give you what you want," the master said softly. "Not power for fun. Power for peace. Look at them. Children training not to blink. Portraits on watch duty. A school turned into a fortress. You call this a win?" The doctor's jaw clenched. "It's survival." "It's exhaustion," the master said. "Let me fix it. Let me take this world, fold it neatly, and lock it away from every predator. Let me erase Voldemort. Let me undo the deaths that made you so sad you can't even say the names." Hermione saw the doctor's hands tremble again. Then the doctor forced them still. "No," he said. The master's smile sharpened. "You said that before, and I'm saying it again," the doctor replied. "Because it's still no." The master's eyes hardened for the first time. "Why? Because you love rules? Because you love being the good one?" The doctor stepped closer, voice low and fierce. "Because I don't own time. No one does. The moment I decide I do, I become a monster." The master's smile returned, thin. "You already are one. You just wear a nicer face." Hermione couldn't help it. "Leave him alone." The master finally looked at her properly. His eyes were bright, amused, cruel. "Oh," he said. "You're brave. That's adorable. You'd make a fine Time Lord if you weren't stuck with one life." Hermione raised her wand. The doctor's hand snapped out, gentle but firm, lowering Hermione's wrist. "Don't," he said softly. "That's what he wants." The master laughed. Always so careful. He took a slow step back, hands raised like he was surrendering. "Fine," he said. "Keep your little school. Keep your rules. Keep your pain." He tilted his head, smile widening. "But I took something." The doctor's eyes narrowed. "What did you take?" The master's voice turned light again. "A seed, a tiny problem, a future headache. I'll let you find it." Hermione's stomach sank. The master waved once, like he was leaving a party. "Doctor," he said almost warmly, "I'll see you when you're tired enough to say yes." Then he stepped back into the TARDIS. The door closed. The blue box went still. Hermione stared at it, breath shaking. "He's going to—" The doctor cut in, voice steady. "He's going to try. He always tries." Hermione looked up at him. "What do we do?" The doctor stared at the TARDIS door for a long moment. Then he turned away from it. He looked at Hogwarts, at the warm windows, at the towers, at the world that was still here. "We keep watch," he said. "We keep people alive. We don't become monsters to stop monsters." Hermione swallowed hard. "And if Voldemort comes again?" The doctor's eyes went distant, then sharp. "Then we meet him with everything we have. Not with control, with courage." He started walking toward the castle. Hermione followed. Behind them, the TARDIS sat in the grass like a promise and a threat at the same time. The night was quiet on the astronomy tower. The sky was clear, stars sharp, the wind cold enough to bite. The doctor stood near the edge, hands in his coat pockets, listening to the castle like it was a patient with a weak pulse. Hogwarts was calmer now. Safer. Not safe, but calmer. He could feel the scar where the crack had been sealed. It was like a place in the air that didn't quite fit. A healed wound that still ached when the weather changed. Footsteps came up the stairs. The doctor didn't turn. He didn't need to. Harry Potter stopped beside him, leaning on the stone wall. For a while, they just stood and looked out at the grounds. Harry broke the silence first. "Do you miss home?" The doctor's mouth twitched. "Which one?" Harry blinked. "You have more than one?" The doctor looked at him, expression softening. "I've had a lot of places. None of them stay." Harry's voice went quiet. "People don't stay either." The doctor nodded once. He didn't pretend he didn't understand. Harry stared down at the dark trees. "When you were fighting Voldemort, you didn't look scared." The doctor let out a small breath. "Oh, I was scared." Harry frowned. "You didn't act like it." The doctor glanced at him. "Being scared isn't the problem, Harry. The problem is what you do with it." Harry's hands tightened on the stone. "Sometimes I feel like I'm just waiting for the next thing to hurt." The doctor's eyes went distant, then came back. "I know that feeling," he said. Harry looked up. "Do you ever stop?" The doctor's smile was small and sad. "Not really." Harry swallowed. "Then why keep going?" The doctor didn't answer fast. He chose simple words. "Because people are worth it," he said. "Even when the universe is unfair, even when time is cruel, people still laugh. People still help each other. That matters." Harry's throat moved as he swallowed something down. "My parents." The doctor's voice softened. "I know." Harry turned toward him, eyes sharp. "And you still won't change it?" The doctor held Harry's gaze. No tricks, No easy comfort. "No," he said gently, "because if I change your pain, I change you. And you're not a mistake." Harry's eyes went wet. He looked away fast. The doctor didn't touch him. He just stayed there, close enough to be real. After a moment, Harry's voice came out rough. "So what now?" The doctor looked at Hogwarts, the castle that had become a little more like his life. Beautiful, dangerous, worth protecting. "Now we keep living," he said. "We keep learning. We keep watching the corners." Harry let out a breath that almost sounded like a laugh. "You really turned our school into a job." The doctor's mouth curved. "Your school was already a job. I just added safety rules." Harry hesitated, then asked the thing he had been holding back. "Are you staying?" The doctor stared up at the stars. He could leave someday. Maybe. If he could unhook the TARDIS from the wards without tearing a hole open again. But he thought about the students, the portraits on watch, the scar in the air, the Master's seed waiting somewhere. He thought about Voldemort's promise. "We will speak again." He made the choice that felt like his own nature. "Yes," he said quietly. "For now." Harry nodded. "Good." They stood in silence again. Then the doctor turned and walked to the tower door. He pulled out his sonic screwdriver out of habit, lifted it toward the door latch. The screwdriver whined. Nothing happened. The doctor stared at the wooden door like it had committed a crime. Harry watched him, confused. "What?" The doctor sighed. "Still wood." Harry's lips twitched. It wasn't much. But it was real. Harry reached out and opened the door with his hand. The doctor followed him inside. Down in the courtyard, the blue box sat under moonlight, quiet and patient. And somewhere inside the castle, a portrait's eyes shifted slightly, keeping watch. Because the world had changed, and now watching mattered. Time moved on. But Hogwarts did not face it alone.